Hello, welcome to the latest ECR CatMan Network webinar. My name is Declan Carrollin. I'm Managing Director of ECR Community and delighted to welcome you to the first of a new series of webinars by our Tools and Technologies group. Let me just bring today's meeting into a little bit of context. We're part of the ECR CatMan network, and this is a screenshot of the homepage of our website, ecrcatmannetwork.com. Our objective is to facilitate high-level peer-to-peer discussions and debates and to promote the global impact of category management as a collaborative strategic process. We're a group as part of ECR, where the 8-step process for category management was initially launched in the 1990s, and very ambitious and protective of the 8-step approach to category management, and hoping to upskill what is a global management practice and use the website as a destination and a resource library and a forum for practicing category managers to interact. So we have a couple of things in our plans. We have an expert group and we have 5 subgroups. Those subgroups are the Insight Research Group, who are preparing a global self-assessment maturity index for category managers. We have a category management 8-step process group, a category management department group, the role of AI in category management group, and the Tools and Technologies group that who are putting forward today's webinar. Let me go through a few recent events which we have had. The 8-step process group had a webinar in March, hosted by Brazil, looking at how 2 companies have effectively implemented their 8-step approach to category management. And they were Dalbin Supermercados, presented by Fernanda Dalbin, and Reckitt's in Brazil, presented by Eduardo Bezerra. The next webinar from this group is going to be hosted by Italy in June. Then later on in March, we had the first webinar from the role of AI in category management. And speaking here was Marco from Google, Dirk from the University of Freiburg, and Beth from Pernod Ricard, based in Paris. And Beth spoke particularly about what Pernod Ricard are doing to introduce AI into category management and their roadmap for the future. And both those webinars, actually, you can rewatch from our Category Management Network website and see the presentations, and I recommend you to do so. We also publish a monthly article looking at a step or the overall 8-step process in category management. So in February, Fatima published When Method Transforms the Business. In March, Antonella from Italy published The Strategic Lever Companies Are Underusing. And just yesterday, we published an article from Dr. Brian Harris, who invented the 8-step approach to category management. And he's looking at the evolution of category management and just looking at why it has survived and why it is still a relevant process in the turmoil that we have for today's changing consumer lifestyles and shopper behavior. And that article is available on our website also for you to read and to download. We have a schedule of events planned throughout the year. We have quarterly webinars from the AI group, from the Tools and Technologies group, and from the 8-step approach to category management group. And I've mentioned the Tools and Technology group because it's them who are hosting today's webinar. And when I say them, there are 3 members of our expert group which are on the panel: George Mirza, Julian Plotz from Hofrogge, and Jan Jaap Janssen from Perfetti van Mel. And what they're trying to do is bring together retailers, suppliers, service providers, experts to explore practical and emerging technologies that are shaping things such as category management, in-store execution, data utilization, and shopper engagement, with the overall objective to highlight real innovation and enable informed dialogue. We're hoping that every practicing category manager around the world tunes into this quarterly webinar to keep up to date with the latest innovations that affect their business, and at least keep them informed and understand how technology is changing. And it's been popular. We had just over 190 people register. I see we've 75 people online. I'm happy to pass over at this stage to George Mirza. George is going to moderate and host today's session. Hello, George. It's an early start for you today.
Yeah, it's 5 a.m. Thank you, Declan, for the introduction. I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this first session of the Tools and Technology webinar. Uh, for these webinar series, we will be using the ARS Square framework as a guide. This framework provides us a lens of how innovation can accurately, repeatedly deliver at scale with speed. I'll take a minute to introduce it before the solutions presentations themselves. First, how the session is curated. Uh, Before we get into the framework, just a quick note on how these sessions are structured. This isn't a typical webinar format. Each presenter is focusing on a specific capability, not a full solution overview. The sessions are intentionally not sales driven. No pricing or competitive positioning, just a clear view of what the innovation does and why it matters. The goal is to enable a more informed peer level discussion across the industry with a focus on transparency to build trust and better decisions. If you have questions, make sure to use the question feature to enter it. We will have time to answer it at the end. We are seeing a rapid growth in innovation across retail and CPG, and they are coming very fast, or they've been coming very fast over the past decade. At the same time, it's becoming harder to distinguish signal from noise, and there's no shared way to consistently evaluate real performance. That gap is what the ARS Square framework is trying to address. This is what solution providers need to use to show transparency and gain trust for quick adoption, and what retailers and CPGs need to use as a lens to determine if it's the right time for them to engage. This is meant to reduce friction and expedite adoption of innovation in our business. Innovation without structure creates noise. Structure without innovation creates stagnation. What's missing is a consistent way to evaluate it, something simple enough to use, but structured enough to be meaningful. This is exactly what the ARS Square gives us, a structured lens to focus on what truly matters. At a high level, ARS Square provides a simple way to make performance explicit across 4 dimensions. Accuracy, does it work? Repeatability, does it work consistently? Accuracy in the lab is one thing. In the real world, it's a different challenge. This is where scalability, does it hold across environments, or speed, how quickly does it create value, comes to play. The top half of the quadrant is about validation, proving that something works. The bottom half is about operation, whether it actually holds and deliver value in the real world. As you listen to the session, I encourage you to use this as a lens for how each capability performs in practice. Our ask is that you consider how these innovations apply to your business and share that with us. We encourage you to engage with these solutions when the time is right for your business. With that, I ask you to use this lens as we go through each presentation. Every presentation is 10 minutes long. We'll have a 5-minute discussion after each presentation. Please submit your questions. We'll try to cover as many as we can. Today, we have 3 innovations to share with you. The first one, well, all 3 of these solutions, something in common is they're all data-based. And the data is based on computer vision and, of course, AI. As you review them, consider how they deliver in accuracy, repeatability at scale with speed. Solutions from these 3 companies are destined to make shopping insights at the store shelf far richer than any online platform we have seen so far. The first one is Picasso, a new way of gathering shopper and consumer insights in the wild. They are disrupting the way we go about forecasting and identifying trends and fulfill the needs of the strategy step in the category review process. Next, we have standard AI. tracking shopping behavior at the store level, from entry to the store to the cash register, delivering insights on shopper journey at the store, all while using existing store infrastructure. This is a key differentiator. Next, we have Simbi. Simbi is leading the way in robotics use and acceptance at the store level, providing relograms data critical to any category management solution to enable it to fully realizing its potential to deliver on shopper needs at the shelf. First, we're going to start with Picasso with Chris, CEO of Picasso, followed by Angie, CEO of Standard AI, and then Tom, the VP of Product of Simbi. With that, Chris, ready? Gonna pass this on to you.
Sure, thanks. Okay. Everybody see that? Should be good. Cool. So, hi everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Chris. I'm CEO of Picasso. And what we do is we basically bridge social media and the shelf with computer vision. So, most category data tells you what happened last month or last quarter or last year. But at Picasso, what we do is we show you what's going to sell tomorrow in store based on what's happening today on social media. So we have a patented computer vision platform that bridges this gap between social media and retail shelf. So we take in the images. We don't process just hashtags. We take in the images. Our AI identifies all of the products and the objects and the places and all that sort of a thing, and who's using the product and how by passively monitoring these images and outputting insights into our dashboards. And so we're able to look into the category, new vision into the category. We have a powerful segmentation engine. We do forecasting, and we help with all dimensions of businesses today. And so I want to kind of show what we can do with this. We have a segmentation engine, and we've built what we call a digital twin of the Albertsons shopper. And so this is a real-time living model showing, and we're really dive into the beverages category using computer vision. So it's a real-time model showing who's drinking what, when, why, and we're able to see data years before the point of sales reflects it. And so here at a high level, we model it like a focus group or a panel. We call it a passive digital panel. And so we have a market. We're monitoring U.S. grocery consumers, and we'll dive into specifically some SKUs from Kraft Heinz. And so I'll start at the top and then get into a little bit how we deal with specific product types, and then into the specific Albertsons insights. And so, for the big picture, I'm telling you we can tell the future. Okay, well, here you go. Not only the future, but who's drinking what. So here's the U.S. beverage market. We largely see it shifting from flavor to function, and these are the top kind of 5 trends that are, not mainstream or somewhat mainstream, but kind of up and coming trends. And we can see who's drinking them as well as how much is going to change in this year. And so we see probiotics, infusions, energy drinks, prebiotics, and nootropics. And from all the data on social media, we're able to see, first of all, how much people are engaging with these products, but also who. So we can see what age prefers each one, what their lifestyle's like, whereabouts they are based on their photos. And as well, we were able to propagate or model the propagation of product usage from social media into the real world, and so we can see how much it's going to grow over the next year. This is patented as well. And so this helps to plan, assortment, promotions, shelf space, and all sorts of things, as well as marketing and product R&D, well before the market, well before you see it in sales data. And so for category management, how do we help? Well, I think we're always, we see that, insights are one thing, but they have to inform action. There has to be outcome, there has to be actionable insights. And so this is how we translate social signals into the four commercial layers of category management. You'll see how we can help with merchandising to align displays with the real world consumption moments, how we help with assortment, where facings should belong, kind of support innovation and defend shelf space, pricing and promotions. We have segment specific value decisions, and the shelving where to put which SKUs to put at eye level and that sort of a thing. And so this is how we convert insights into profit. And basically any product type, virtually any product type, we're able to zero in on it and see who's drinking it, who's using it, who's consuming it, and in what situations. So here's just one product, which is peach mango energy drinks. We know when it's being consumed. It peaks in June. We know it over indexes with Gen Z, in suburban environments, in the Northeast areas, or Northeast stores. And there's a bit of an affiliation towards breakfast and work from home snacks. And so from all the context of when these types of beverages are consumed, we can help guide placement, shelving promotions, like a morning boost end cap, or a targeted, buy 3, get 1 free offer for the bargain hunters. And we can see what people would mix this with, all sorts of interesting things down to specific product type. And then if we zoom out a little bit to all of the SKUs, this isn't all of them, but sampling of the SKUs within that product portfolio, we're able to we can see the age and all those other things. Well, here's the age breakdown for all the SKUs there, so we can tell between the SKUs of all the SKUs in the portfolio, who's going to tend to prefer to drink which one. And so, not every SKU belongs at every store. And so this shows whereabouts they should all, be prioritized. So this helps to kind of remove guesswork. You might guess that the zero sugar lemonade is boomers, and you'd be correct, but how much more does boomers affiliate? And is that actually true? So this confirms your hunches, and gives actual data to make decisions instead of just kind of guesswork, and really to make sure that it aligns with actual shopper behavior. And so this Albertsons shopper segment that I was talking about is really a full-fledged consumer segment. We do those readouts all the time, and we're able to see not only to their beverages but into the rest of their lives. But within the Albertsons shopper and the beverages, photos, and videos, we can tell that they're over-index on convenience. They have a higher luxury signal, and so they enjoy the functional benefits that you've probably heard of. We can tell how much they like zero sugar and all those sorts of things. So we really do have the full context of their lives, but also the beverages within their lives and beverages versus the average shopper. And so we see what they drink, why, when, and this helps to design, campaigns and that sort of thing that really resonate with those authentic consumption moments. And so just show a few things. The data is kind of, well, I won't say it's endless, but there's a lot of different dimensions we can dive into. So what kind of things can we see? Well, here's the competitive landscape. And this is where the white space is, and who's also winning. Who's going to be in store if they're not there already. And so you see, brands like Poppy and Alani over-index with them, and interesting products like mushroom coffee are a good white space opportunity there. And so this really helps teams. We work with a lot of big brands, and they are very highly innovative, sometimes too early, but this helps to align those innovation teams with what's actually going to be purchased by real consumers and when. And so that's how you win market share. And so then not only we see the products and the context, but also what's driving purchases. Think of this as you have behavior, habits, and attitudes studies. This is a real-time view of what's happening. So we can tell the Albertsons shopper over-indexes on baking, and they care about the quality of their products, and they under-index on nights out, and that sort of a thing. So you have a giant list of all their behaviors, observed behaviors. And then they also, the promotions that they tend to mention or what resonates with them, they highly over-index on treat yourself, or well, highly 64% over. And discounts are also a big thing, but it's lower than treat yourself. So here's a shopper segment that you can lead with premium indulgence, not markdowns. And so that helps to protect margin and shopper loyalty, kind of all rolled into one. And so the insights are kind of endless. So you can see all the SKUs and all the consumers and all their behaviors and that sort of a thing. And so you might ask, why haven't you seen this before anywhere? Well, we've actually invented a new way, a new kind of data source here. The lagging panels and surveys get very personal, but they're delayed. Point of sales lagging and aggregated. The classic social media is hashtag, and so it's like aggregated. You just get the hashtags. You don't see much about the individuals. And so here we've got a new way of looking like a panel, but a little bit more real time, and just helps to capture the signals before so what happens, what's going to happen before it hits the shelf. And so we've always been about managing risk, and so that's why our forecasts, we can do an SLA on those, and we really give an always on feedback loop, so you're aware of what's happening. And really you can act before. Really, I think the goal here is to take it from reactive into more proactive, so you can own the future before it hits before sales hit the shelves. And then, as George mentioned, to get into the ARS squared, where we're patented forecasting to 4 years. We have audited data source. It's very repeatable. It's sort of always on, continuous data feed, segmented, all types of demographics, and this gives a consistent view for everybody. And then there's scale. We're in over 20 countries, major brands. We're expanding into retail now. We've done a lot of brand work, and then speed. Yeah, it's all very fast. It automates the trend coding process and everything. And yeah, I think that's it at a high level.
Thank you, Chris. I have several questions for you, but I'm going to try to cover at least 2. First one, I know that's going to come up, is the data privacy issues. How do you handle that?
Yeah, so we don't recognize anything personal in there. It's all aggregated. We're also Facebook partners, so we have access to their API, and so we have all the restrictions there and everything like that. But most importantly, we're really, this is about the popular people. We're the movers and shakers, so they kind of want to be seen, and their accounts being highlighted to the brands and everything is actually what they want, because they create opportunities for sponsorship and that sort of a thing. So not that I'm saying nobody's account in the webinar is in the system, but probably not, just because this is all about the influencers and that sort of thing, the movers and shakers. So it's sort of the people who are putting themselves out there. They want to be seen, and also there's nothing identifiable in there. So we're GDPR vetted by every customer's legal team goes through this. So I think we're pretty good on that. We see statistical significance is kind of antithetical to personally identifiable information. So if one person's posting something, it's not relevant to within the system.
Can I ask you, Chris, to stop sharing so I can
Sure.
see there's a question that just popped up, but it's Teams is not behaving very.
Yeah, sure. I can help you out there, George. The question is, what is the statistical threshold of data capture volumes and segmentation in order to make a recommendation or insight? And that's from Tom.
The statistical significance?
The statistical threshold of data capture volumes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's everything gets a forecast, and so it's basically, what is it going up or is it going down? So what happens is we have a kind of a window of it's going to be between this level and that level, and what happens when it's not statistically significant, the window grows so large that it's not useful. It's plus 500 to minus 500%, or something like that, then it's just okay. It doesn't know. So naturally, every year that it goes out, you go 1 year out. Some of them drop out. It doesn't know 2 years, 3 years. Every year, the threshold, the interval grows, and so it's kind of what really works out as like a workable interval of variation. Okay, it's going to grow 20 to 40%. That's workable. If it's minus 20 to plus 80, maybe that's not as useful.
I have one more quick question for you, Chris. How do you handle, into multiple languages? So obviously you showed us an example in the US market. How do you work with multiple different languages, different
Yeah,
countries?
yeah, we've been doing that since the start. So we have, Korea, we have Japan, a bunch of other ones, and so it's really right now the best way to do that is with the large language models. So we're able to pass all the posts through and get them translated so that it gets the full context, and the analysis can go in. We can, if we're doing a metadata analysis or the audio is recognized the same way, then you pass the posts. So we say we dive into beverages in Japan. It pulls out the captions from the posts with beverages are there and feed it into the LLM to do its analysis. Then that's when language matters. Then it simply, the LLMs just know the language and repeat, read them in Japanese or Korean or whatever, and then output the insights in whatever language you want. So it's pretty seamless, and we don't have any issues with language.
That's impressive. And you give an SLA with every project or every service that you provide on trending and forecasting?
Not everyone, but it's an option because you have to calibrate to the market and that sort of thing. But yes, SLA is available for forecasting.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I know there's a lot of questions. If you have them, please send them over. If you can't answer them here on the call, we'll try to answer them via email after the call. Thank you, Chris. Stay with us.
Yeah, thank you.
If we have time at the end, we'll bring the whole group together. And next we have Angie from Standard AI. Angie, thank you again for joining us. I know it's 5 a.m. our time. Really appreciate you, joining this session with us. Looking forward to your presentation. Angie, you're on mute, I think.
I was going to say, hopefully Teams is going to cooperate with me now. Can you see my presentation?
I believe so.
Yes, awesome.
Yes.
All right.
But you're not in presentation mode though. Up to yeah, now you are. Yeah.
All right, perfect.
All
Here we
yours.
go. Thank you, and good morning. Yes, it's early here, but I've had some coffee, so we're good to go. Wanted to talk to you today about Standard AI, the trusted source of truth for retail, media, and in-store intelligence. So, really interesting listening to that last presentation because I agree that, retail is in need of more data that's beyond just this transaction log. So it's really exciting to see. And this is another version of that with inside the store, another not version of what they did, but data with inside the store to help make decisions and drive decisions within physical retail. So, we've been thinking the same thing. Physical retail needs measurement, it can trust. And most in-store data today is still inferred, sampled, or modeled. So this really holds us back to being able to get to that next level of performance within physical retail. And, from my perspective too, it's really holding back physical retail from being able to participate in AI because you can't, you need data in order to be able to run AI in physical stores. So what we're doing at Standard AI is bridging that gap from online to in-store. So we use e-commerce metrics as our inspiration for driving what kind of metrics we can bring into brick and mortar. And all of this is possible because of our proprietary algorithms. And what you see here is when we're processing raw video footage from the security cameras that are already installed, so pre-existing infrastructure within inside these stores, our algorithm labels 26 places on a person's body so that we actually can anonymously see what they're doing inside the store, all privacy safe. But it gives us 26 points to compare. And we can also, as you can see, understand gaze, orientation, how they're moving. And that gives us so much more context as to what that person is doing inside the store. Here's another depiction of that from a visualization on a video where you can see we're actually being able to capture the attention of that shopper. So what you see on top of it with the three-dimensional rectangle that we drew on top of there is that's our area of interest. And that's what we set up with the customer to say, what do you want to measure against? This can be anything as small as a sign on a shelf. It can be an entire department. It can be digital media that's being, that we're measuring against the effectiveness. But whatever it is, we can measure awareness of that, how the customer is interacting with it, whether they've viewed that sign, product, retail media, and give a bunch of insights on what's happening inside that store. So that's just to give you an idea of the basics of the technology. And today I wanted to really just showcase an important example for everyone. But, summarizing, it's using existing security cameras. It's privacy safe and anonymous, no facial recognition or anything like that. And then an accurate, continuous understanding of what's happening. Going into the snapshot here on a very specific example that I'm going to get into next, I wanted to talk about, how we see our technology and its readiness. So one, Standard AI started off as an autonomous checkout company. So we've been around for almost a decade. We were running at 98% plus accuracy when we were doing autonomous checkout. All of our models are proprietary, which means they've been developed specifically for retail use cases and have been trained on retail data for many years. So accuracy is by far our highest maturity level, and this is where we're really achieving. If we move to as far as repeatability, this is where we're still doing very well here and progressing. Standardized methodology and how we can actually create and repeat these metrics across multiple locations and specifically in dynamic store operations. So, one of the things that we find about any off-the-shelf models is it's very difficult to be able to produce these kind of metrics on a reliable and repeatable basis when you're, when you get into crowded spaces, when you need to be able to distinguish people from one another. That is something where our technology really excels. And then scale is something where, we're definitely headed in that direction, but this is where we have the most opportunity. We're currently expanding to hundreds of stores, but in order to really continue to move up that, maturity level, we want to be able to prepare for thousands of stores. So this is where a lot of energy and resources are going within the company right now to continue to develop automation and deployment processes that support that level of scale. And then finally, for speed, I kind of look at these as having a little bit of tension. The high accuracy that we deliver does require a little bit more calibration on that 2 to 4 week calibration period on the setup side. And so this very high accuracy that we achieve is a little bit at the expense of speed on deployment, though we do continue to get faster and deploy faster as we're moving throughout more stores. And so that's an area that we're progressing. And this specifically was an evaluation for what I'm showing you here, which is a measurement of in-store activations. So going back to, I kind of described what the technology does, but I want to show a real life example of how you get data from stores that you don't have now. So we worked with one of our customers, and this is, so many times we're doing promotions or new product launches, or standing up seasonal displays, and we're not really sure how they're performing. And so this is about being able to measure with real data to see how those activations are performing and seeing whether there's true incrementality. In this example, this was a candy activation, and there were 3 areas within the store that they were testing. We analyzed this for 8 weeks, and we used the prior 90 days as the control. But the context and setting for this is that we knew, and this customer knew, they were going into a seasonal time where traffic naturally was going to be lower. So how do you account for that, and how do you do these experimentations when you need a very strong baseline where you already know it's not going to be apples to apples? Well, that's where our technology comes in. First, that very first activation, this is the always-on home location for this candy display. And what we saw was probably pretty much what you would expect. It's tucked into the corner, less visible, and it behaved very much on par with the rest of the store, with traffic and impressions being lower across the store. So that was our baseline. That was expected. However, when we moved into the new display on that second location, this had very large signage, very good visibility. This was a new promotional area for this candy display. We noticed a lot more staff interacting around those areas, and the traffic went up despite it going down in the rest of the store, and we saw impressions increase versus rest of the store. And then this third activation was really meant for, we had it staffed. It was a staffed counter, samples, as you would expect, high engagement, high impressions during those locations. And that was reflected despite the decline in traffic. So let's talk about the overall impact and what we were able to prove here. One, you can really see an increase in traffic density in those 2 locations that we described. So not only when we're measuring it by each individual trip, but when we're looking at the density across via heat map, we can see that happen. But now it gets super interesting. So impressions are what we call, we simulate what is available for a digital impression online. So this is really telling us, did we capture attention? And you can immediately see that when this activation happened, we started to see the candy impressions go up while the impressions in the rest of the store went down. Ultimately, this also correlated with conversion at that time and being able to see how conversion is increasing when the conversion in the rest of the store is going down. Now, conversion is really important when we look at this because we're able to segment traffic by area of the store. So if we were only using full store traffic, it would be more confusing to understand which piece of it was captured, especially because it's a very high traffic zone. However, we were able to calculate conversion exactly by how many people actually traveled to that area of the store. And ultimately, the results were that we were able to show that impressions increased by 32%. And the big headline here is that there was an incremental gross revenue of $112,000 during this time frame. So really interesting to be able to do this study for them, gave them a ton of confidence in how they wanted to do future activations, and then subsequently how they were going to scale and roll that out across their organization. And that's really what we're trying to do, is bring visibility into physical retail that's allowing and empowering those leaders to be able to scale decisions much faster.
Thank you, Angie. I have several questions. I'm going to try to lump them into maybe 1 or 2. First, very important, I think, is that you're using existing infrastructure to do this. That's very, very impressive. That's kind of, I think it's been the holdup in getting something like this rolled out to scale. Can you tell us, where is your goal, or the retailers you're working with, is their goal to get this to all stores, or do they just want to keep it within a limited amount of store for testing?
We have both. And that's what's really interesting, is it depends on the use case that is most strategically important to the retailer. So we have one retailer that's using this technology really to drive sales within their organization by measuring customer service metrics. So because we can distinguish between employees and shoppers, we can put metrics around that, like how long was a customer dwelling before an employee or associate approached them, right? So those kind of metrics that are embedded into operational workflows really are something that's going to be scaled fleet-wide. If you're using it for retail media optimization or, merchandising experimentation to determine, the optimal layout that you're going to scale across, in those times it's maybe only in, key flagship locations or regionally and 5 to 10% of stores. And that's okay too. I mean, both of those have a ton of value that they're driving for the customer. And a lot of it just depends on what their priorities are today. And really over time, we'll probably end up doing, both of those kind of deployments for a retailer as their needs evolve over time.
Where do you see the holdup? Is it the value is there, obviously. I mean, I'm going to kind of switch to another question. I mean, you're tracking the journey from the entrance to the store all the way to the cash register to the receipt.
That's right.
To get all that insights. So we all agreed kind of the store experience, it's going to be much richer in data than our online shopping experience when we get to scale. So I see this kind of a component to make retail media possible.
Yeah, and I think especially retail media, what is really important about our technology is that we're not just dealing in averages. So as you said, we can, in the same store, distinguish the shopping behaviors of those that saw an ad versus didn't, and then whether they actually converted at the register. And so it's a completely different level of confidence that is as powerful as what we've been able to do in terms of experimentation online, because now we can view in the same exact store, how it's impacting the shopper's behavior when they're interacting or seeing this piece of retail media.
Thank you very much. I know I have a lot of questions, but we know we're limited on time, and
Yes.
want to encourage everybody that has questions, send them through, and we'll try to answer them back after the call. Thank you, Angie, and thank you again for joining us early at 5 a.m. in the morning for this call. But we do have audience from all over joining in.
Super excited.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next, we're gonna switch to Tom from Simbi. Tom, I think I saw you pop in. Yep. All yours, Tom. Thank you.
Needed to switch windows to unmute. Apologize for that. So thank you very much, George, for inviting us to present here. And thank you to Angie and the rest of the team that already had a chance to present. I know it's early for Angie. It's right about sort of school bus drop-off time for me here in Minneapolis, Minnesota, too. So the flexibility is appreciated all around, but we are very, very excited to have this conversation so far, too. So quick introduction. My name's Tom Gahani. I lead the product and the solution engineering teams here at Simbi. I've been at the company for about a total of 4 years now, but I have about 15 years of experience at sort of the intersection of retail and technology overall, having served stints in merchandising and planning at Target and Gap, as well as technology roles at companies like Square, Shopkick, and advisory roles at companies like L2, which was founded by Scott Galloway. So we are here to talk about the intersection of some of those earlier conversations we had today. You got to learn all about how important it is to get the right product and the right assortment in your stores. You got to learn how important it is to understand what your customers are doing inside the stores. Simbi was started with this idea of there's this one remaining huge problem, and that is the shelf edge. That is where the customer and the product actually meet and intersect. And in my own experience working inside retailers and technology companies, we've seen billions has been spent on successfully digitizing the supply chain, the point of sale, e-commerce, customer analytics, and operations. But actually knowing what happens inside the four walls of that box, what product is actually available, is priced right, and is it located in the right position, has been a difficult problem for retailers to solve overall. And it's a very, very real problem that we know drives very, very real opportunities within the business. Across both our research as well as industry analysis, this is a major ongoing opportunity. Customers experience that 1 in 5 items are unavailable to purchase, And 66% of the time, the product was actually in the store the whole time. That is a bad experience for the customer, and that is a bad experience for the retailer who has the inventory to fulfill, but both lost the sale and potentially lost the customer. 24% of shoppers will switch to a competitor due to those shelf gaps. And we've seen this pan out, especially as we've increasingly moved to a digital omni-channel way, where competition is just a click away at any point in time. The problem's not just inventory, too. 90% of pricing errors on shelf aren't caught manually and through normal automated store or normal manual store scanning of price compliance. And more states are increasingly tightening and creating fines around accurate compliance in store. And the labor problem has just gotten even harder. Retail industry labor attrition rate averages around 60%. People no longer want to be doing complicated manual tasks. They want to be spending their time with customers and fulfilling their teams. And that's what retailers are looking for overall, too. So we started as a company a little bit over 10 years ago now. We just had the opportunity to celebrate our 10th birthday last year. And our mission is really simple. Our goal is to digitize the store for complete visibility to serve the entire retail team. And our solution is multimodal, combining artificial intelligence, computer vision, RFID, and automation to turn retail's biggest blind spot, the shelf edge, into a competitive edge and advantage, a shared source of truth that is usable by multiple teams across the retail portfolio, ultimately leading to better customer experiences overall. That multimodal aspect is really important. We know many retailers or customers or brands have tried with single solutions like shelf cameras or manual scanning. We've really found that it's a collection of all of these devices in an integrated package that really helps retailers and brands realize these benefits to scale too. So very briefly, how does it work? Many of you guys might have encountered a tally robot driving around in your store. We are live in over 10 countries today with hundreds and thousands, close to be thousands of robots navigating the store. We autonomously create maps of a retail environment, creating a high fidelity digital twin of your store. Using computer vision, we're able to capture every shelf, every product, every position, and process that through our leading proprietary computer vision model, Symbi Vision, which is able to extract and understand on-shelf availability, pricing compliance, promo execution, and location of every item without complicated tools like planogram software or expensive ERP systems. But what's really helpful about that is not just the data that we gather, but what we're able to turn that into for our customers, which are largely retailers and brands. And so we turn that into prioritized tasks to restock and find and fix errors. Much of our company career has been focused on the store operations side, helping store associates replace this task of manual outscans and whole shoots, replace this task of manual price audits. But where we're really excited about the direction that we're going as a team is bringing that data and insight to the entire retail organization. And that's what we're here to talk to you guys and tell you a little bit more about today, is how we're evolving beyond just the store ops team. We've introduced last year a new product that we call Symbi for Merchants. These are taking the same set of data and insights that we're able to generate and bringing that to the custom audience of the merchandising and category management and brand management team, specifically around the view of understanding performance across the fleet with high fidelity, visual accuracy, and scale. We know the problem is real. On average, planograms drift by as much as 60% a month into execution. Ultimately, that is products that retailers and brands were expecting to be on shelf, but are not available. And again, often the only tools that were available to understand that before was literally flying out to a location or periodic spot checks, sometimes funded by the vendor through third-party auditing tools. We've created a collection of 4 products to help merchants better understand their on-shelf availability and product performance using our visual tools. Briefly, those tools are multi-store view, the ability to see an area of a store across every store simultaneously. Planogram insights, the ability to consume planogram data from a retailer and better understand which products are supposed to be on shelf and are not, which products are not supposed to be on shelf and seem to remain, and which products are positioned in the wrong categories or the wrong locations. For retailers that don't have planograms, as well as those that do, we're able to generate high fidelity realograms to scale diagrams and understanding of what product position actually is on shelf. And again, this serves both retailers with and without planograms and ability to sort of find the right optimal outcome for every store. And finally, we build these set of collaborative tools for vendors and brands along with retailers to get a shared sense of understanding of on-shelf visibility and availability using this high fidelity frequency capture that we're already generating. No third-party auditing necessary or required. And this ultimately leads to better conversations between brands and retailers overall. So as we talked about where we think about we fall within the IARS framework, we've been a company for 10 years. We know we've proven our accuracy at scale. Last year, we processed billions of images alone, and we found that we have 99% shelf label ID accuracy and consistently high accuracy in on-shelf availability and precision. This is not a product that exists in a lab. This is a product that exists in the real retail environments that stores and customers are able to see the impact of every single day. We do that repeatedly. It's not just point-in-time audits, and it's not just periodic measurement. It is daily, sometimes multiple times per day, capture across store environments. Tally doesn't call in sick. Tally doesn't miss work. Tally consistently shows up, and that fidelity and that consistency of data is really important as we evolve into sort of agentic operations. Where we're really pushing ourselves is that scale and that speed function then. So as we've talked about, historically, we were a company that was focused on store operations. We are bringing new tools to every member of the retail team, starting with merchants. And so this has been our deployment and our initial pilots with several customers so far, with very, very favorable results. And we're looking forward to bringing the solution to more customers in the coming year. And we want to continue to roll out those tools based on client feedback. We're a very customer-driven organization. Our roadmap is entirely driven by our customers' feedback. And again, exciting in the age of sort of agentic development that we've been able to turn from feedback to product within days, which might have taken weeks or months before. I'm going to touch really briefly on what each of those product capabilities actually were to give you a sense of sort of what we're talking about here too. So it used to be, if you wanted to understand product performance across your entire store environment, you would do a single store visit, and that would be sort of the understanding, or there'd be an assumption that that's the implication of the entire fleet or the organization. What multi-store view allows you to do is take the same product category, the same planogram, and view that instantly in hundreds of locations across the country. So you can pull up the frozen food novelty section. It's coming up on summertime, and my kids love ice cream sandwiches, and I got to make sure they're in stock in my local store. A retailer is able to pull up that section and view it in every single store across the chain, quickly identifying areas where there's out on shelf opportunity or pricing execution. Did the new front page circular get set correctly on the end cap or not? Or this new promotional space that my brand has bought, has it been correctly executed? The actual visual proof, as well as the analytics and insight on top of that to understand the in-store execution here. When we talk to customers that are using this for things like DSD monitoring, these retailers are extremely excited about this new level of visibility they have into their shelves every day. They're really excited to see this work, and they can't wait to do something like this at scale, meaning every product, every category, every DSD vendor being able to see on-shelf availability with actual picture proof. For retailers that do have planograms, we're able to consume those planograms, and then we can use that to drive comparisons and understandings of compliance or insights. Actually knowing in every store what rate of all planograms are in compliance and which ones are not, or within a given planogram, knowing across every location which planograms have executed correctly. So as you think about coming up on seasonal periods like summer or holiday, where the difference between a 6-week program setting on week 1 and setting on week 3, it has massive implications in terms of the clearance sales that you'll have at the end of that process. Being able to quickly understand and diagnose which stores have correctly set the planogram and which ones haven't, and turn that into tasking and action for store teams to correct that planogram, or turn that into feedback upstream to understand why was this planogram not able to be set correctly? Do we not have the amount of space or adjacency that we needed to here? Again, when we talk to our customers who are doing very, very manual solutions for this before, they talk about how this has been a solution that they've been waiting for forever. For customers that do have planograms or those that don't, Tally's knowledge of on-shelf conditions without the need for a planogram allows us to create realograms. And this helps you see actual execution of things like space to sales ratios or product location. For customers that don't have planogram, this often becomes the system of record of product location and product assortment within their stores. And for customers that do, this can often lead to interesting conversations about this store is not compliant with the planogram, but their sales are performing better. How can we take that data back upstream and leverage that into better insights and execution for the chain across the board? Or again, as we think about seasonal and holiday sets where category availability might start breaking throughout the season, being able to generate realograms of what was actually available on the holiday set December week 2 helps for better planning and management in next year's cycles. When we talk to our customers about how they're already able to use this, they talk about being able to capture these points in time of beautiful, perfect execution, things like store openings, and this being a new tool that they're able to use to sort of generate that realogram data as well. So we see customers really, really excited about being able to leverage this almost every day. And then finally, I'll touch on the part of sort of the collaboration with the external partners and the insights against that. So because we're capturing every single item and we're able to combine that with a retailer's ERP or master catalog system, we can generate things like vendor and brand dashboards, the ability to quickly see what is the on-shelf availability and pricing execution at the vendor level? Is Pepsi servicing me better than Coca-Cola is? Or in which regions am I having difficulty with specific bottlers or distributors? For many of our customers, this is insights and visibility that they just did not at all have before. Many customers relied on things like out-of-stock rate. That is not possible in categories like DSD. So this new metric that they have available to them of on-shelf availability or out-on-shelf rate has allowed them to sort of see exactly the opportunities that they have now. We had a CEO talking about they just had a set with a new category and seeing a week in that they were down to a 54% out of stock rate. This was able to drive an immediate conversation with the vendor that led to immediate execution performance on top of that. And this was visibility that they did not have before. So overall, when we talk about Symbi for All, we really do believe that we are trying to build a product that drives collaboration between the entire retail team. We know that better on-shelf availability leads to better sales. It leads to better sales forecasts because you can understand the difference between an out-of-stock and an out-on-shelf event. It leads to better store execution because you can direct labor to do exactly the things that need to be done. Or it helps identify the root causes of those problems in the first place to allow headquarter teams to better service and reduce the labor that's necessary in the first place. And we really believe in the collaboration between retailers and brands, and the shared set of truth is what brings all that to life. So what we are on this journey of building right now is Symbi for All, and we can't wait to show more of it to all of you.
Thank you, Tom. A lot to cover. Thank you for sharing all those. I'm going to take a minute. I know we're over time a little bit, but I'm going to take a minute just to ask one question. The data that you're collecting, it's critical to the category management review process. For years, we've been using planned data instead of real data. And not only what you're doing, what I see you're doing here, you're going from not just making the data insightful, but you're making it more prescriptive, possibly. You're bridging that. Where are you in connecting or integrating this data into the typical solutions that a retailer or the whole ecosystem uses to service the retailer?
Yeah, it's a really great question. So I will say, as a company, we hold this philosophy of using our own surfaces and products as first best customers of our APIs, meaning we create data and visualizations and tools, but every bit of data that shows up in those tools is accessible and available via API to our customers or to partners. We've been very fortunate to have customers like Schnucks and BJ's who are extremely fast-moving, technology-capable companies, but we also know that many retailers have many other projects that they're working on right now. So over the course of this year, you'll likely see us announce more and more partnerships directly with other technology partners, things like ESL partners, planogram partners, ERP systems to directly integrate data from them into our tools to lead to better visibility of on-shelf conditions, as well as our data back into those systems. So we talk about many retailers today have systems of record. Our ambition is to be the system of integrity across those systems of record. Do I actually have 10 units on hand? Is it actually in the right planogram position? How did that actually set? And we'll be serving that data back in sort of two directions ways, both going forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I know we're over time, but this is a key component to the whole process to, realizing category management full potential. This at scale is really when it's going to change things and make it more, easier and more efficiently or effective in servicing the shopper needs at the shelf. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Chris. I think this was great. And I hope everybody sees the value of these three different data sources, how they can come together and deliver that much more insight and understanding to everything about the shopper. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you for the presenters as well. And hope to see you at the next session in June. Declan, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Thanks, George. Great wrap up. Thanks, Angie, Chris, Tom. And you'll see we have 3 webinars through our 3 different webinar groups coming up over May and June. We'll then take a summer break and resume back in September. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.